I've always leveraged the experience for me to grow and become a better fucking person. I'm not someone who goes through life expecting myself to be perfect, unscathed, or I'm gonna always, please not just everybody else, but myself. Like I might create experiences that I'm not happy with, that I'm not pleased about. But even in those experiences, I'm not going to disrespect myself and beat myself up so that I get stuck in the experience, the energetics of the experience, and then I'm unable to move past them and to grow and to become a better person. I think compassion and empathy is actually a very big piece to being a true leader in life. And again, not just leading out here, but leading yourself. Authenticity and freedom go hand in hand. If you're not being real, then you're not truly free. Something is causing you to not be able to be authentic, not just with the world, but with yourself. Real talk, real wisdom. All heart, all in. This is the Roxanne Show. It's another Q&A episode on the Roxanne Show, and I love answering your questions. So before we get started, if you would like me to answer one of your questions on the show, send me a DM with the question on Roxy Look, RoxyLook. If you don't already follow me, hit follow. Let's be friends there. And there is a link to my Instagram handle in the show notes. All right, the first one, we've got 3 or 4 of them today, and they're so fucking juicy. The first one is from Alessandria from Miami, Florida. What's up, girl? So she says, you often speak about high standards and self-respect. Yes, I do. Have you ever lowered your standards in love or friendship, and what did it teach you? Woo! Let's just dive right in. Oh, man. Yeah, I have. I totally have. The first thing that comes to my mind is in romance. I would say standards and respect. So I've experienced both, and I'm in my mind right now. I'm really thinking about the history of romantic experiences and where that has come in, and what I learned ultimately is don't do that. That sometimes for us to learn something, we have to go through the process of, why it isn't the thing for us. As I always say, that contrast is our greatest teacher. And I certainly feel that there were also situations and friendships where maybe I didn't hold myself in the highest and my best as I could have and maybe needed to in certain moments with friendships. But really the outstanding experiences that touch on this question for me were in the love life department. And, I think the big piece to share with you here is that, first of all, I don't shame myself for it. I don't guilt myself. I don't give myself any of that. I think that every experience has material that's important for our evolution and our growth. And I think that what the stories that we create around the experiences are really going to dictate that, how we are leveraging the experience. Meaning, like, if it's something that you are going to leverage as an opportunity for growth, or if it's something that's going to hinder your growth, an experience that's going to hinder your growth. And that's all going to come down to the meaning that you give to it. Right. And so I look at those experiences where, I wasn't holding myself to the standards at which really matter to me. And also the respect part, I wasn't really holding myself in those in that regard as well, and as high and as strong as I certainly do now. And these experiences, by the way, I will say that these experiences that I'm thinking about were in my 20s. So this is, I'm in my, mid 40s now. So it was a long time ago, but there were substantial enough experiences, and there were a couple actually. Now some more creeping in my early 30s, but they were substantial enough for me to remember and to make sure that, you know, I learned from them. And I think one thing that's really important is that those experiences reinforced what standards I have and what really matters to me, and how important it is to hold myself to a very strong level of self-respect and to those standards, right? It's almost like those experiences help me get more clear on my standards. And that's the part where I'm talking about, like, how do you give meaning to these kind of experiences? Because I imagine that if you're asking me this, maybe you're going through something similar, or maybe somebody else, you know, who's watching this or listening to this episode, or has gone through something similar. And that's why it's also important to say that, like, if you have, or if you are going through it, what you don't want to do is create a shame spiral or make yourself feel guilty or any of that, you know, energy, because ultimately then you're giving meaning to this experience as something, as a firm negative, and like something. Honestly, you become a victim of the experience rather than a student of the experience, where you can grow wisdom from the experience. And throughout my life, there's definitely experiences that, you know, I wouldn't want to, you know, share with my mom. Like, they weren't my proudest moments, but what I really respect myself for is that I didn't put myself through a shame spiral or beat myself up, which didn't mean that I didn't hold myself accountable or look at it and say, oof, don't ever fucking do that again. Or oof, not the greatest experience, or whatever. You know, I've always leveraged the experience for me to grow and become a better fucking person, a smarter person, a more skillful person, or higher standards, or stronger self-respect, or stronger boundaries, or whatever that is, right? And the reason why I'm able to leverage the experience in that way is because the meaning that I assign to it isn't coming from a victimized, like, I'm not a victim of this circumstance, right? And I'm always a student. I'm here to learn, right? So I'm not someone who goes through life expecting myself to be perfect, unscathed, or I'm going to always, you know, please not just everybody else, but myself. Like, I might create experiences that I'm not happy with, you know, that I'm not pleased about. But even in those experiences, I'm not going to disrespect myself and beat myself up so that I get stuck in the experience, the energetics of the experience, and then I'm unable to move past them and to grow and to become a better person. So that's ultimately, what did I learn, is that I learned what mattered to me. And there's a lot, not only how I felt about myself, how I feel about myself, but also what it is that I really feel I deserve in my life, what I want to make sure that I am living up to. You know, so if we think about standards, it's like, am I showing up and living up to that standard, or am I not? Am I, you know, coming up short, right? So ultimately what I learned is what really matters to me, why it matters to me, and to make sure that I'm positioning myself as a person who can live to the standards at which I hold, and to make sure that I am never, ever turning down the volume on my self-respect or anything that pertains to my self-respect, i.e. it could be, you know, enforcing a boundary, you know, speaking up if I feel like I need to, etc. So I love that question. And I hope that if you are someone going through it, maybe Alessandria, you're going through this right now, or maybe you just did, or maybe somebody else out there is going through this or just did, that the most important thing I hope you take from what I just shared is that don't beat yourself up, hold yourself accountable, look at yourself as a student, right? With a student lens, so that if you are moving through that and you know that that's not where you want to live or be or hold yourself to, that you put yourself in a position to be able to learn from it and to leverage it to grow. All right. The next question is from Noah from Toronto, Canada. I love Toronto. What's up, Noah? When you are seen as the strong one, the leader, do you ever feel pressure to always be okay? Oh, man. I wouldn't say that I feel pressure, but at all, actually. So let me just, no. The answer is no. I don't feel pressure to always be okay. As far as like being the leader or the strong one, being a leader, it's kind of like, it's almost two separate things, right? But to be a leader, I think there is strength in that. So, but I'm kind of just double clicking on the strong part here. I don't feel pressure to always be okay. I'm always aware and have the sense of responsibility with my emotions. But that I don't think is so much because I'm the strong one. Because being the strong one is not because of what I think people, how people take to me. It's because of what I believe to be true about me and how I navigate life. Like that's what makes me strong. It's not because so-and-so thinks that I'm strong. It's because of how I actually live, And so does that mean that I feel that I always need to be strong and that, I can't come undone at the seams at times? No, it doesn't mean that. I don't feel that pressure. Do I want to hold myself in the do I want to make sure that I can keep myself composed, when shit feels chaotic? Yes, but that's not the same thing as feeling like I always need to be strong. That would be something that is sort of like more of a performative thing than the actual embodiment of strength or even leadership at that point. You know what I mean? Like being someone who is self-leading, right? I'm leading my life. It's a self-directed life. I'm leading conversations out here publicly. There is responsibility that comes with that. But I think that lends more to self-mastery for me rather than it being this performative thing of, because I'm seen this way or I'm known to be this way that, I must always be this way. Like, fuck no, some days like I'm not feeling that strong. And this is where I actually give myself a lot of compassion. And I think compassion and empathy is actually a very big piece to being a true leader in life. And again, not just leading out here, but leading yourself, most importantly, right? A strong leader is going to have strong empathy and compassion and also strong authenticity. Fuck. Like that's number one for me, right? Authenticity and freedom go hand in hand. If you're not being real, then you're not truly free. Something is causing you to not be able to be authentic, not just with the world, but with yourself. And freedom is everything to me. It's core value number one to me. And when I talk about freedom, it's not just this external aspect of being free, right? It's an internal experience. Like, am I allowing myself to be truly who I am? Am I meeting myself where I am truly at in the moment, And so when I am in a position where maybe I'm not feeling that strong, am I going to pressure myself to feel like I got to hold myself to that strength? I'm absolutely not going to pressure myself. And so I don't want to be redundant here and run on and on about this. Hopefully I'm giving you some kind of substance that you may have been wanting to take in by asking me this question. I love the question. I think it's beautiful because I think there is something to be said about people that are seen as the strong one and then do feel that pressure. And I think it's an unnecessary stress to put on yourself, and it's not realistic because being human is having moments where you're not going to feel strong. It's having moments where you feel like you're coming apart at the seams. Being emotionally responsible is also a beautiful thing to carry. And it does, lend to being someone who's moving through life with self-mastery. But it's never to say, don't be real. It's never to say that you're not allowed to have moments where you don't feel strong or where you feel, you're just having a more low frequency is how I frame it, more, of those moments. And it's also not to say that you need to, perform some kind of leadership energy or strong energy. Because this is where, for performing it, first of all, in this regard is fake. And also then you position yourself to not be able to ask for help. And maybe you need to in that moment. Maybe you need to call your friend and be like, hey, fuck, going through it. Got a minute? Can you hold some space? But if you're afraid of that, because then you're not going to be seen as a strong one. I mean, you see how this is it's just not good. So, to really be able to be real with yourself and to let that be a constant for you is, first of all, I mean, that's built into being a leader, like authenticity, to be a strong leader. Any leader that I respect is fucking authentic. So it's not just about, leadership isn't just about overseeing things or people. It's about the qualities of that individual. And one of the most important qualities is authenticity. And if you're in a moment where, you don't feel strong, then it's okay to be in that moment. You want to regulate yourself. You want to make sure that you don't just become, the person who's just feeling, a lack of strength and kind of moving through life as, not confident and feeling weak. Right. But anyways, I'm in the deep end now and just battling over here. No, hopefully that sums it up. I mean, here, I'll just end it like this. No, I don't feel pressure at all. But I do hold myself with a lot of mastery when it comes to self-regulation and emotional responsibility, so that I make sure that if I'm having moments that don't feel powerful, I let myself feel those feelings, and I'll do whatever I need to do, if it's call a friend or take a walk in nature or whatever, so that I can, kind of process that feeling, those emotions. But I won't ever mask them. And especially because I'm worried or feel pressured about, what people will think, or will I be regarded as the strong one anymore, anything like that. So hopefully that answered your question. I love the question. Thank you so much. Okay. Next question. Layla from London. That sounds like a song. Layla from London. I love it. Hi, Layla. Okay, question. What's something small in your day-to-day life that makes you feel powerful and deeply connected to yourself? Something small. I mean, yeah, it's interesting to put small in front of it, but I would say just taking time to be with myself in the morning. It's that self-connection space for me. It's really an opportunity for me to think, to feel, to witness how I'm thinking, to witness what I'm thinking, to witness what I'm feeling, to kind of play with ideas. It's just allowing, it's a space that I give to myself to go inward intentionally. And this is where, meditation comes into the picture. This is where my writing, this is like my journaling, specifically, that kind of writing comes in. Or sometimes I'm just literally letting myself contemplate, like sit there and wander, like mind wander, which is very healthy for the mind, especially as a creative. Like I need to let my mind trail off, because things happen in the trail, And so, I would say that that's definitely something small, that I don't know if I'd frame it as small though. And, but it's something that I do consistently, every single day with joy, with, like can't wait to get to it kind of energy. And then I'm trying to think, is there anything else, like if I was to frame it as small, that helps me feel powerful and deeply connected to myself? I mean, yeah. It's what I say to myself before I go to bed. I love you. Thank you. I love you. I'm grateful. Thank you. It's every night. I love it. I say it to myself. I say it to the universe. It's like brushing my teeth. It's before I close my eyes. I say those words and I say them out loud. I say them out loud for a reason, because I really believe that when you speak words out loud, it's a different experience that you're giving yourself. And I think that it also sort of magnetizes it, like puts it out stronger into the ether. And I really want that love and that gratitude to be felt from me in the ether by the universe, right? So that does give me a stronger self-connection, a moment of strong self-connection, and does help me fall asleep feeling really empowered. I think love and gratitude are very empowering experiences and emotions and feelings and frequency and energy. So just that little bite-sized statement, I love you, thank you, I'm grateful, before I go to bed at night definitely gives me that. So maybe it's something that you can try, and then you can let me know how it serves you. Evan from Scottsdale. What's up? One of my best friends in the world lives in Scottsdale. How do you think a man should approach a high-performing woman who's secure, grounded, and self-sufficient? That is a good, juicy question. Okay, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is you should approach that kind of woman like you approach any woman, in my opinion, which is authentic and with integrity. Those are the first two things I think that are very important. So framing up a woman like this, I feel like that frame up is because it almost is implying it's, basically creating this idea that this woman, like there's a lot more weight. Like you feel almost like you need to step to her with like some sort of special sort of approach, and I'm going to position myself in here because I absolutely am a high-performing, grounded, self-sufficient woman who is secure, who's secure in myself. One thing that I can sniff out like a fucking panther. I don't know if they actually sniff, but I just wanted to say panther instead of a hound dog because I am a panther. And not in that fucking weird, what is that? Like, what is her, like a Kruger fucking... No, I don't even know if that's a thing, but anyways, I'm a motherfucking panther. All right. Paulina knows. Okay. Evan, seriously. So one thing that I can sniff out is if you're being real, and if you are coming to me with a costume, or anybody, like if you're just like, if there's a mask, if there's a costume, if there's any of that, like I'm going to fucking see it from so far away. There's a quote, if you live truly, you see truly. And I know that to be a truth because I live truly. So my filter for truth is just crispy as fuck. Okay. So if somebody's coming at me and they, in this case, turning it into, if a man is approaching me and he's not coming authentically, I'm going to know it. I'm going to feel it. And it's already going to be it's not going to sit right with me, especially if you're trying to, in the romantic sense, come at me. Right. That won't work straight up because it also shows a lack of confidence. Just be who you are, whatever that is. And I know that's not easy for most people, but it is, if you're thinking about approaching a woman who's confident and grounded in herself, clearly you've gathered enough of her energy and information about her to be able to state this about her, then I think it's really important to show up, in that same kind of energy to the best of your ability, to be truly who you are. Because that's going to dictate everything. It's like the things that are going to come out of your mouth, the conversation, your whole approach is going to, it's going to be impacted by that alone. Like if you were being authentic or not. And then the integrity piece is really important. I think, integrity is such a fucking big quality, and it's such a delicious attribute to me. It is something that is very important to me in my life, is to live with integrity. And if you're approaching with any kind of energy or intentions that don't anchor into strong integrity, then I think you're not going to have a great experience with a woman like that, because a woman like that is going to be, she's grounded, she's self-sufficient, she's secure because she is a woman of integrity. So it's always this thing of like energetic alignment, right? That's really important. It's not so much about your clothes or your status, your resume, the money in your account, but it's like, where are you energetically? If you're not grounded, if you're not, and when we think about self-sufficient, by the way, I mean, I understand that can mean like, oh, a woman who's got her shit together, she's dialed. Like, where would I fit in? Well, there's always room for a good man, in a woman's life. If a man's not already there, like we shouldn't think that because someone, or reverse it, the same, if a self-sufficient man doesn't mean that there isn't room for, a beautiful woman to come into his life as well. Like being self-sufficient doesn't mean you have no room or space for somebody wonderful to come in and, partner with in your life. So let's just say that, right? But the energetic alignment part, I think, is just so important to think about more than anything else, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's your ability to move into any kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's, a romantic relationship, it's going to come down to alignment. Are you aligned energetically? And are you aligned because your values have alignment? Or is your consciousness in a place where you can meet each other in alignment? So, there's a lot of depth here is what I'm offering you versus sort of, the surface level approach. Don't go surface level, period. But especially don't even think about surface level, basic sort of maneuvering, when you're approaching a woman who, from your frame up, is very grounded, secure, and self-sufficient. You're going to have to be ready to be real and to go deep with a woman like that. That's just because she couldn't be that woman if she didn't live from that space already, that kind of depth, that, complexity, that integrity, that authenticity. So I think it's actually more simple than one may imagine. And again, I think a really important piece to this question, the answer here is, don't assume because she's self-sufficient that, there isn't room for you to come into her life and to add value to her life. And this is going to come back to you really being able to be secure in yourself. And securing yourself means your authentic self, and not secure from some performative or some material kind of way, but the qualities of who you are. And this comes back to the integrity piece. Who are you in your life? What are your behaviors like? What are your habits like? How are you showing up in your life? And if you feel really strong and feel really, proud of this person that you are, then you carry that energy forward, not in some like proving kind of sense, but that energy is going to allow you to step into a conversation, approach that woman with a level of confidence that speaks before any words even leave your mouth. Right. And so I think with a woman like that, again, I think it's a woman like any kind of woman, right? Authenticity and integrity. But if this is a woman that's calling you forward in a way where you feel like you almost have to kind of posture up a little bit, like, cause she's just, kind of, there's like a weight to her, and it's a beautiful thing, right? You're really moved by her. You're inspired by her. Then I think the most important thing is just to realize yourself, and not from any kind of surface level or resume status, material aspect, but the qualities of who you are as a man, and let that seep in, and let that energy and that frequency be exuding from you in your approach to her, so that you can have a very grounded conversation with her, so that you can have a very authentic experience with her. And then you let it be what it will be from there. So hopefully that, and the giggles and the funny, whatever I threw in there between, that just wanted to come through. Oh, the panther, the fucking panther. Hopefully that gave you something, and that, you do approach her, because if you're asking this question, it's probably something that means, she means something to you. So I say, go for it and go all in, as your most authentic self. I think that is the most magnetic quality that any one of us can operate our lives with. So thank you for that question, Evan. All right, you guys, thank you so much for those questions. Once again, if you'd like to ask me a question, please DM me, Roxy Look, in the show notes, in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, also subscribe. You'll get my Instagram handle there. But I love these questions. I truly do. Like, this show is about you guys. It's about the community. It's about our connection. And it's really a fun opportunity for me to go into territories that are not just, that are even personal. Like, some of the stuff that I shared here with you today is personal. So it feels like a very intimate opportunity for us to connect deeper. And I'm all for that. So please don't be shy. Send me your questions. Let me answer them. And I will see you on the next one.